Welcome to my LBL story. My name is Ekomananda. I am your host. Today we have special guest, Dr. Beate Blumrich. Dr. Beate is a seasoned medical doctor with over 34 years of experiences. She dedicated in integrating conventional and holistic healing methods. Over the years, she expanded her work into acupuncture, kinesiology, and hypnotherapy, supporting children and adults alike in access deep inner healing. In 2014, the path led her into past life regression, and in 2022, she became a certified Life Between Life therapist with Michael Newton Institute, where she now serves as a lab coach and career advisor. Beate is currently transitioning her long-standing medical role into her soul-aligned calling as a full-time spiritual practitioner, dedicated to guiding others through hypnotherapy, past life regression, and the life between life spiritual therapy sessions. Her approach honors the full human experience, from physical, emotional, psychological, and spiritual and beyond, holding space for healing, insight, and awakening. A big, warm welcome to Dr. Beate. Thanks for coming to the show.
Beautiful.
It's so great to have you back, Beate.
Yeah, thank you. The pleasure is mine.
Yes, what has been happening since last time we spoke?
A lot of shift that I experienced as well. I immersed a little deeper into this non-duality aspects as well. So I've got a training with Pete Smith in quantum consciousness experience. So I'm a facilitator with that as well. And for me, it was like simply a logical consequence of my being facilitator for Life Between Lives. And it's simply even going a little, like literally beyond the idea of our soul energy, because for me, soul energy is an entity with in a light form, which still, like for our human brains, I think this is a conception for our human brains that we have this energy form, but it's a form which is kind of limited, which is not limited. I mean, it's not limited. So this quantum consciousness experience training brought me to this experiencing of really being part of everything, really growing into the universe and feeling that you are not a dual being as a core being. You are pure consciousness, and this was really amazing. It simply made, let's say it like this, it simply made my circle round, you know. So it was a missing link for me, and for me, this led to my professional decision to stop with things I've done up to then, like working with acupuncture or kinesiology. And I decided to focus on this work, focus on hypnotherapy, spiritual regressions, life between life regressions, and quantum consciousness experience. It's not regression, experiences, right? So I had to do some organizing work to make this happen. And I'm still in this process. I'm working on my new website, which will be available in English as well. Yay. A lot of stuff like this, you know. And it really makes me happy because it's this process we're in experiencing that it makes sense to do some things up to some time in your life, and then something new is happening, and I really dive into this new professional, let's say, life. Yeah, private things are happening as well. Sure, we always have development, but this is focusing on my professional aspect. This is most amazing. And I love this. And I decided this year to be a lab coach in the Michael Newton Institute, which means that I'm supporting as a personal partner, supporting one of the new trainees of this year. I stepped into some responsibility in the Michael Newton Institute, which is beautiful as well.
How remarkable to hear that. The shift is here and is happening to everyone. And
Yeah,
it's so swift. We can feel it, and it's just right here. It's so imminent, and it's happening to everybody.
yeah. And I'm so glad to feel this more consciously, let's say it like this. And yeah, to be aware of this and to feel my unity with an universal plan and surrender to this. Yeah,
Surrender to
I
this.
can wrap it up like this.
That's beautifully put. Now, in our previous conversation, we covered a little bit of your journey from a doctor and how you discover hypnotherapy first and then past life and then life between life therapy, and then we train together. And do you still want to cover that a bit, or?
I think we can cover a part of this because I'm even a little more aware of the plan I'm following. When I thought about how to introduce myself on my new website, for example, and maybe here in this interview as well, this is what I said in our first interview as well. But it makes more sense for me now, and it feels like even more true. I'm happy, I'm glad, and I feel really good to have had exactly this development. And I always call it like I learned the human to understand the human through the layers, starting with the physical aspects, studying medicine, and then learning how energy systems work. That was when I learned acupuncture, kinesiology, homeopathy, and aspects like this. And you spend more time with clients, then you get to know the deeper layers of emotions and the subconsciousness. That was when I started my hypnotherapy training, and I followed all this up to then in a kind of unconscious way. I didn't take the decisions after a long process of deciding. I simply felt that it was right to do this at the right time of my life. And I kind of grew more aware of this aspect because it feels like as if my soul has decided to simply let me go this way without struggling a lot, without going astray a lot, which does not mean that I did not have some tough learning. There was tough learning, like, I mean, for all of us, we have tough learning, but I always followed my intuition, and it was like as if I always met the right people at the right time who showed me the new way, and I followed that, and that felt like there is no alternative. It's simply going this way. So, and when Michael Newton came into my life, that was such an aspect that happened by chance. I say like this, by chance, because we know there is no no by chance. I was already working as a hypnotherapist for some time. And it was let me think, it was in 2011 or 12. There was this client of mine, a lady, and I've been working with her for some months. Out of nothing, for one appointment, she brought the book of Michael Newton. I didn't hear of him before. And we did not even speak about spiritual aspects. She simply brought this book and said, I brought you something, you have to read this. I think you would like this. And you know, um, things happen, and later you understand why they happen. And it really, like, it struck me. I jumped into that and I immersed in it, and I really, it was like taking in everything like a sponge, you know. I know some people in the Michael Newton Institute who experienced like this by chance aspects as well, like being in a bookstore and a book falls out of the shelf and it's a book of Michael. And it was not Journey of Souls, it was the
Destiny of Soul.
no, it was hypnotherapy. It was Michael's teaching book.
Uh, uh,
Like, what's
life,
it in?
life
Like,
between lives, little book.
yes, yes, exactly. That was the first I read, and then I bought all the others. Then I read them, sure. And so we know Spirit made contact via this book with me. And that was simply, apparently my soul or spirit throws diamonds on my way, and I see the diamonds, I grab the diamonds, and I follow the diamonds. So this was one of the most amazing and most important diamond I grabbed. And yeah, that was the beginning of my way with the Michael Newton Institute, because I was so fascinated. It simply made sense what you read, and it simply felt so right to follow that diamond.
There are all sorts of scenarios or stories that guided us to where we're doing today. I recall a conversation I had with Diana, our current Michael Newton Institute director. One of the key messages is it takes us a few ups and downs to really eventually we arrive to where we are now, which is the path we belong to. So speaking of that, and in your introduction about yourself, that you learned the physical, the emotional, the psychological, the energetic, and then the spiritual, and then the non-dual, if I may put it this way, the six
Yes,
levels of the human different sheaths. Could you please
exactly.
give the audience a little bit of an overview or an introduction about the different layers of the self?
For me, we have the human self. Like when we work with hypnotherapy in a psychological way, I often meet people who talk of themselves like, I feel, I do, I experience this and that. And most of the people identify themselves with this human ego, or with this human aspect of the self.
The individual body and the mind.
Right. And when they learn through this life between life sessions or past life regressions, when we work in a spiritual way, they are amazed, because it is for them, it is the first time they a lot of them felt that there must be some higher self, there must be some higher aspect of themselves. And when they experience, it feels like the first time for them to feel that there is another self, and this other self is more themselves. So they come into my office with their like feeling as a human self, and they leave the office knowing that they are a really amazing and energetical being, which is a soul self, which is able to expand into the universe and be one with all that is. And this, let's say, felt duality in the person is the most amazing experience for all the clients, having the chance to experience themselves like this, because from that time on they know they are two. Like it's a duality, let's say, like this being a non-dual being, and being able to incarnate into a human form, and knowing that you are the human self and you are the soul self. I mean, it's being the soul self, having a human form or another form in other dimensions, in other worlds. But this is the most amazing aspect people experience through this beautiful work because it shifts everything.
That's perfect. What we wanted to be able to share with audience is where does healing happens and how this past life and life between life therapies, this quantum consciousness healing therapies can take the healing beyond what the mind can comprehend.
Exactly. So the mind is limited. The mind always focuses on this actual reality. For the mind, this body, this lifetime is like you live this life, and when this life ends, it's over. So the mind is always focusing on what's happening in this body, what's happening with the emotions, what is happening with the thoughts. And people who are not aware of this higher perspective really think that this is all, this is what they are. Shifting into the experience and the knowledge that the physical, emotional, and mind aspects are only like, let's say, like a means of transport for something really, really, really bigger, gives a totally different perspective. And immediately there appear aspects like there must be some purpose, there must be some higher plan, there must be something why I chose this body, why I'm going through this maybe tough or painful experiences in this body, right? So this is simply the shift to purpose, the shift to a plan, and what is most amazing, that experiencing oneself from the perspective of the soul holds the most amazing healing, because it is not only the understanding, because as energetical beings, we are connected with other souls, with other consciousnesses. We are connected with the knowing that we are the ones who plan, and we are the ones who decide how we want to live. We are the ones who are like the creator of our reality, and being in the knowing and experience of creating reality holds an amazing amount of healing, because you can heal your soul, that you as a soul can heal the human aspects you've been experiencing, and you can send waves of healing into all your other realities, into all the multidimensional aspects of yourself. And this holds healing in a really beautiful way, like, which is really healing. Because sometimes when we work psychologically, it is more like teaching the people how to live with a problem. And from that level, it is like a domino effect, you know. You understand, you heal, and you bring this healing, this knowing and healing back into the body of your human form. So this is yeah, it always makes me goose bubbles when I talk about that, because it's like it's even more than our human mind is able to imagine.
Wonderful how you put when you mention psychology. Psychology teach people how to live with their problem. Now, in your professional medical as a doctor profession, in that experience, could you use one sentence to describe the different healing method in terms of prescribing medication, acupuncture, and kinesiologist, or any and also other different method that you have used? If you could use one sentence to summarize what they actually do versus what past life and LBL as well as your quantum consciousness, that would be greatly helpful.
Wow, that's a big question to bring this into a one sentence form. I think it is not. I would not say this in general because psychology does not it is not limited to that. I mean, there are beautiful psychologists who are really helpful for people and who help them to not only to live with a problem, but I mean, it's like it appears something like that, but there are people, let me say it like this, people are different and they are in a different awareness and they have different access to themselves and different view, different perspective on themselves. There are people who are really happy with simply, like when they feel a headache, simply going to the doctor and get some chemical treatment to get rid of the pain. Medicine, like the physical treatment part, is really helpful for those people, but it's simply the view on one part, like simply the view on the physical aspects, right? When you go a little further or deeper, when you use acupuncture, you see the human, you started to see the human with more aspects, and the treatment does not stop with the physical things. And acupuncture is a part of a philosophy, and you treat the being in a more holistic way. It is beautiful, but it is still limited because you look for the connection between psyche, energy, and physical aspects. And with this beautiful philosophy of acupuncture, you can treat more aspects of the being. And when you go to hypnotherapy, you help the client not only to understand his how psyche is working, how psyche is functioning, but you take in an aspect which is already more linked to the bigger self and the bigger aspects. Or how do you say this in English? Please excuse my English word is lacking for this. You started to expand your perspective, right? Hypnotherapy helps a lot with ego states, helps a lot with trauma experience, but it still stays with this existence in this body. When you start to work spiritually, this is expansion into something bigger. It is like from the inside to the outside to the most or best possible way of simply healing in a more profound way, in a way that really is healing. The other aspects are healing parts, but this is healing the whole. And it has an impact not only on this one form I'm having the contact with in my office. As I said before, it has an impact or an effect on the multidimensional aspects. I cannot put it in single sentence. It's a hard way to just put all those aspects into one sentence. I don't know if that makes sense. I said.
You're doing perfect. Thank you so much. I guess what you were trying to say is it's more comprehensive or more wholeness sort of a way to cover all different layers. It helps the individual energy to merge into this unity energy, this consciousness. Therefore, when you merge into that infinite wisdom, you are able to access the information, the stories, the knowledge about your past, present, and future. I mean, they all come into one. When we are in that transcended state, there's no time, and everything is within your reach. Everything happens here and now through different dimensions, if we may say that.
Exactly.
And that infusion of that permeating energy from higher consciousness, simply what I sense, the infusion of higher consciousness simply absorb the egoistic energy.
Right. So when you take your decision as the consciousness you are to incarnate in a human form or whatever other form, because we have other experiences in other bodies, in other lifetimes, in other dimensions. We have to as a soul, as the consciousness that we are, we have to learn and to know how this physical body is functioning. I would say it like this: there must be a difference of a human body compared to another being from another dimension, which we nowadays call a traveler soul. Like when we are a traveler, we are not in this human form. We incarnate in another being, in another entity. So in this other entity, there are other ways of functioning of this organism we're in. And here in a human form, we have this world. We have a high dense, very very dense energy, or very not very high, lower energy. So we have experience as a soul, we are as a traveler, we have experiences in other bodies, in other dimensions with other systems, other functioning, other physics, or physical aspects. So simply, to bring it back to the human form, as a soul, we have to cooperate with what we find. So there are aspects which belong to this world, to this technology, to this to this time we're living in. So we have to bring it back to your question about like medicine. We have this medical system here, which is evolving as well. So up to now, we are still using more chemical approach to the physical aspects here as humans, but we can observe a shift with that as well. We can observe that there are more people who focus on treating in a more energetical way, who take in alternative treatment methods. So this is like old wisdom, always been there, but it has to develop, and in the moment it develops. So I mean, you know what I mean. We have this soul state going into this human body, and at every time we have different aspects we have to work with. There are people living here who are, as I said before, who are pretty satisfied with treatment on a physical way. There are people who want to have some broader, some wider view on themselves. They are looking for more energetical treatment, and so on. This is we decided to be here in this body, so we decided on one side, we decided, or for one aspect, we decided to deal with all those like human or limited or whatever aspects. But we are here for more reason, to help develop the aspects into something more, like more helpful, something more with more love, with more taking in more the energetical aspects which are following universal rules. Like, so we're here to help to evolve and develop those things.
Beautiful sharing. Thank you very much. Do you think that energy healing can overtake a medicine in the future?
I can share, maybe I can share a beautiful experience with this because I personally had to have a hip joint surgery in January of this year. And I prepared myself with I went to in this state of expansion where I had access to all my multi-dimensional aspects. And I invited forward all those aspects who felt a resonance with my intention. And my intention was by self healing mirrors my unlimited possibilities. And what came forward was, I will put the focus on that. There came other aspects as well, but I would like to answer your question. There came forward an incarnation of the future, which was me in 200 years later. It was a man, and he was a healer, a doctor as well. And he said, okay, I come from the future. I'm 200 years later than you. And I'm here to bring you my expertise, to help you to heal yourself after the surgery in an energetical way. Because he said, in the time I'm living in, we simply, it is normal for us to use this as a treatment, energetical healing. So that was really beautiful. So yes, I'm convinced that energetical healing will be will be normal. We will live the future where energetical healing is maybe overtakes this limited chemical or physical approach to the body. Yes, I'm convinced, and I
That's
know.
That's wonderful here, and you personally has experienced this profound healing through an energetic session. May we ask, did you have the surgery already, or did the energetic healing
Ah,
actually prevent the surgery?
no, it did not because my I have from the beginning of my lifetime I have a problem with my hips, and it was I have arthrosis in both hips, and it was like everything I did in the past with acupuncture and everything did not help in that way that I could avoid an implantation of artificial hip joint. So I had this, but I knew, and it was planned, and it was like 1 or 2 days before the surgery that I made this own preparing my mental preparation for what's going to happen. And I knew that with this special way of surgery, I knew that right after the surgery, I had to put all my weight on the leg and I could walk. And it was like, but after the surgery, normally you have pain. And I did not want to take a lot of chemical anesthetics.
Anesthetics, yes.
Yes, not anesthetics, analgesics. I like treating the pain after the surgery. So, what happened was I had some other guys. I had one who came from an incarnation that came from another dimension. It was a kind of robot being. And he said, okay, and I'm coming from another planet. And here, where I come from, it is like, this is our treatment. We treat energetically. So, it did not avoid or prevent to it did not I could not avoid the surgery, but what happened was our energies merged, and they were helping me with their expertise, with their ways of treating, which led to the aspect that almost I did not have to take energetics at all. I only took, like, on the day of the surgery, on the following day, I had to take like a little amount of not very
Painkiller.
high doses or high dose medicine. So I was able to walk with a really, really low level of pain. And the healing was perfect. I had no swelling. I had no, like, literally hardly problems after the surgery. So, what they brought to me was the expertise of self healing, not healing the arthrosis as the main problem, which had to be treated with the surgery, but they helped me to literally like give me the experience of my unlimited possibilities to heal after what had to be done, you know. So I could walk like right after the surgery with a little level of low level of pain, and I had not. There was no need of big treatments after that, like physiotherapy or something. So that was really amazing.
That was beautiful. So it seems like the other entities, say the two other layers of you from different
Yeah.
dimensions, that they assisted with the healing, or they perhaps also assisted with the operation, if we may say.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. You
Right,
can
this
say that.
this magical thing, this healing happens, and in an energetic way that we don't see it, but we could feel the outcome. We could see the difference. The body now is more mobile. The recovery is so speed. There was no side effects or whatsoever. That the body does not need a lot of medication. All number of things happening to you.
Yeah, exactly. That was really amazing and beautiful because although I've not been able to like reduce or eliminate the arthrosis problem with the result that maybe the surgery would not have been necessary. So maybe in another lifetime I will be able to do that as well. But anyways, it was a beautiful experience because I said to myself, I want to live what I'm working. I'm going this one step ahead of my clients because I hold the knowing for them. I don't only tell them what they can rely on and what is there for them to help because I know it is, and I hold the knowing for them, and it's so amazing, this experience, because I on my with my own body I felt the result of this work.
That's wonderful to hear. We have many therapists that I interviewed or I spoke with before. Some of them have this remarkable magic healing that medical science cannot explain. There's no reason for this magic healing for lupus to be healed properly, to be
Yeah,
clearly, fully cleared. And it's impossible with the medical science technology or
yeah,
knowledge that the doctors currently
yeah.
have to address any of these complex immune. That's one immune system disease.
Exactly, and I can add that although I could not treat mentally my arthrosis problem, I look back on clients, experience with clients. I mean, it's not a promise, and I won't promise this to every client that comes to me, but actually, I had clients who were able to get rid of cancer, for example, or get rid of allergies, get rid of other physical aspects by this not only mental but spiritual way of healing, right? So this is it's the most amazing. I feel humbled, and I feel like it's not only a pleasure, it's an honor, because what I experience is that I cooperate with the spiritual realm. I mean, it's not me that is doing the healing to the client. I'm only the one who opens the door for them to get the connection with their spiritual helpers and their spiritual guides and their own multidimensional aspects. When they connect to that, this is where the healing starts. So this is a really, really amazing and the most beautiful work. I feel honored to be part of this cooperation with spiritual guides and spiritual entities, you know.
Thank you for sharing your beautiful experience of healing. Now, you mentioned that before we chose to come to this life. Can you tell us a little bit more about how an individual soul chooses a life and what are sort of options available when an individual soul chose a life?
As you mentioned before, in our soul state, there is no time and there is no place. We're living in a place, in a dimension where time and place does not exist. This is hard to understand for our human brains, but in our soul state, with this no non-existing time, we choose among options. It is like everybody experiences this in a different way, but maybe you see three, four, five different options for the future life you're going to. You as a soul, you have a plan what you would like to experience in the next lifetime. You can choose if you're going to have an easy or medium or really challenging life. It is like, as I said, everybody experiences this in a different way. And but when we guide people to their life between lives, to this spiritual realm, they find the place, like place where they make their decisions. They normally, or very often, they do not decide only for themselves, but they have the guide. They have a, like every soul is guided by a soul guide, at least one, sometimes more. We have support from beings of even higher wisdom who help us to make the right decision. So we look onto the options and we make our decision. And it is like we, as souls, we had, all of us had hard lives. We had lives which were more easily flowing. We had lives as victims. We had lives as perpetrators or whatever. I mean, we want to develop ourselves. And for this, we decide for every single lifetime what will be the next step. And we choose among the options. In the end, when we take in the idea of the multidimensional being, multidimensional being, and when we accept that time is a conception of our human brains, and in the universe there is like no time is not existing, we even have to look onto that aspect that we are living alternative or parallel lives. So this is another aspect which is very interesting and which is kind of mind-blowing, because our human brain is limited and hardly able to imagine such an happening. But coming back to this lifetime, when we guide people into their life between lives, it is an it is, I mean, what is really, what is truth, what is lying all behind that? Are we multidimensional? How do we handle that? This is for this being in this body, who is a client for me, for example. It is not the most important aspect. The most important aspect is he wants to find explanations and healing for this lifetime. So when he gets to know how what thoughts he had when he chose among the options, it is really helpful and healing to simply know that I chose this lifetime, that I had some deep thoughts, what I wanted to experience. So this is it's easier for the individual being to focus on that aspect when we come to the choosing of lifetimes.
How does an individual soul decide when to come back to Earth or take a break doing nothing or go on a journey in a different body, in a different spirit, in a different dimension? What is the mechanism?
That's a philosophical question. and interesting. And I think Michael wrote some things about that. And in the end, it is like souls are individual beings. Like every consciousness has typical aspects. We are different consciousnesses, although we are part of one big consciousness in the non-duality. But let's say different we are as human in our human form, as different are the souls in their individuality, right? So every soul has its own development and has its own way of focus. Like, for example, there are souls who bear more the willing or the expertise of being a healer, and then the soul incarnates in bodies very often as healer through all times and places and through all dimensions to develop this expertise of being a healer. Other souls focus more on, for example, working with energy. So what is interesting for them is to incarnate in forms where they bring themselves into contact with energy on earth or in other worlds or dimensions. So we have individuality as a soul. We have our focus. We have our time and our individual way of developing and evolving and going steps forward. So we focus on what we are interested in as souls. So this is the process of selecting or deciding for the time and the exact place, the family, the land here in worldly words, depends on what brings us or what we see as the best way of developing and bringing forward what we want to focus on. We check, maybe it's as simple as that. We check, is this land, this time, this family, does this fit best? Is this the best match for me to follow my inner need of evolving as a soul and development? Does that answer your question?
That's beautifully put. So I can summarize that it follows the individual interest and then guided or jointly decided with spiritual guides.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
sure that answers many spiritual or seekers questions about why we actually came to this body, as we were trained to know this, that we actually made a plan to come to this body, and this body there is a lesson to learn or lessons to learn. There is the reason we were born in this family. There were reasons certain things happened, certain difficult relationship happened, certain pain occurs in this lifetime. Now, in your healing experience, in your delivering LBL sessions, do you have a special stories you wanted to share with us?
Yes, I remember an LBL with a 45 years old man. And actually, this is a story I shared in the last Stories of the Afterlife, which is the journal of the Michael Newton Institute. And it was very interesting because it had to do with the feeling of being separated. And it was interesting. This guy, in his early years as a kid, he felt a really, really deep connection to nature, especially to trees. He had a beautiful connection to his dog. And when he entered the school system, he kind of with every year he grew older, he lost this connection, and he focused on his talents he brought. He was very gifted with a lot of talents. He was living like I don't know. He kind of put three lives into one because he was so interested in aspects like history, like languages, in traveling. He was a very successful manager in his job, and he lived a really rich life. But when he came to me, he said, I live a rich life and I'm aware of that, but I feel alone. I feel kind of lost. I don't have the connection to myself. I don't have connection to nature and to this something bigger that I felt as a child. So um, we brought him first into a lifetime as a dragon, and that was really amazing because he found himself in an amazing big shape of a dragon standing. He met his soul guide before, and he was standing on a high rock. And the guide, his soul guide, said, "So let's fly." And he said, "I can't fly," because he was kind of linked to his human brain. But then the soul guide said, "Yeah, look at your shape. This is what you are here. So let's fly." And then they started to fly, and they flew and they flew, and it was really like this really powerful big being, drifting, flying easily through the air. And then they dived into the water, and then they could kind of fly underwater as well. In the end, he felt himself in a really powerful being. And his soul guide said to him, "I wanted to show you this because this is your favorite incarnation, and you, as the soul as you are, you really love to be in that shape. And when you incarnate into a human body, you bring this powerful energy into a human. And I want to remind you that you had 21 lifetimes in humans where you always struggled with your power, with your talents, with your like with all this energy you brought. And the human form went nuts with this energy you're bringing. So this separation the guy felt was a really powerful and highly energetical soul, which he kind of was afraid of. And when we brought them together through this experience, he got the teaching, or got the learning, that both the soul and the human form have to balance the energy to be a good team, to bring into this world all the power, but as a soul, not to overburden or overcharge the human form. Do you say this? To overcharge the human form? So the soul with his energy has to balance the energy to adapt to the human form he's incarnating in, right? And that was a really beautiful experience, because for him, he then started to know, okay, I brought something to this lifetime, which is beautiful for me because I'm talented, I have this energy, I'm gifted, but now I know, and now I feel the connection again, that I am not only this like this shape. I'm always have been convinced after the first years that I am what I'm living, but I am this energetical being with this beautiful talents, with these aspects. This energetical being brought intentionally into this body. So from then on, they started to be a team. And that was most beautiful and most amazing experience for him, because he felt reconnected to nature again, because he always has been a being who loved nature, and he felt the reconnection with this purpose and with all that. So that was a beautiful and beautiful experience for me as well, because it's not very often that you have a client finding himself in the shape of a dragon.
No, no,
It
no, no.
was
I have experience. I have clients who was a sea creature, like seahorse, I believe, and another client who was a frog. I myself was a monkey. Yeah, all kinds of stories coming through, and it's fascinating and it's super healing.
And the interesting aspect is that you never know where you will end when you facilitate such a session, you know. But the beautiful thing is that the soul knows, the soul of the client knows, and it is us holding the space for them to make the experience they need. And we, as the facilitators, we trust that they know, and we build a frame and we open the bridge or the door to their experience. And so this is like, this is a really beautiful and amazing work. And every session is unique, and every experience is unique as we are as souls and as humans, as unique are those experiences and those sessions. And this, to witness this, to literally facilitate this and to experience this, makes me like every time more humble, because we cannot know. Our brain is so limited. We cannot know what will happen. And it is so beautiful to see how things unfold for the client when you follow what is showing itself.
It is absolutely amazing. Thank you for sharing that remarkable dragon story. If I wanted to ask you if you have any experience dealing with people who have mental struggles, who may have been diagnosed with schizophrenia.
Yes, but not with spiritual approach. I have two clients who suffered from that, but I worked with them with hypnotherapy, but it is they have to have a treatment, because for this work you need the ability of a reflection. Maybe, I don't know, maybe those people who are open to for such an experience without a medical treatment did not find me yet. But I have to say, I'm a little careful, because you never know what will happen. And actually, for me, up to now, I did not have the experience with spiritual journeys, with people who suffer from those mental diseases. And I would say I would continue to be a bit careful with that, because I do not want to can trigger a really bad experience for them. So I don't know if you have experience or if other colleagues have experience with people who suffer from mental diseases, serious mental diseases, without being treated medically. But I would be careful right now. Up to now, I would be careful with that. You have experience with that?
I have a few people recently who are diagnosed with schizophrenia on medication. They're looking for healing. I'd say they are somewhat spiritual, but in my view on schizophrenia, I have my own view, but it's all collective consciousness. It's not mine. But what manifests in this body is that I sense these schizophrenia people are a very unique group of souls.
Yeah.
They took on an energy. They they either took on a specific energy that is overrides the human energy. They live in a way as the spirit, how spirit lives their life. When the spirit lives their life, they do not comply, they do not follow the human rules. Therefore, their behavior can be astoundingly disturbing to a human mind. The human mind can only see them as nuts, as
All right.
mentally unstable. And to me, I don't necessarily agree with the medical explanation for those conditions, but for me to help them, there is legal guidelines, as we all know. Living
Yeah.
in the bodily world, the third dimension, we somewhat needs to be okay with our own self first before we can
Yeah.
look after others. My contemplation at the moment, I wanted them to be able to work with a doctor who can help them to gradually reduce the medication. And
Yeah.
then when the medication slowly come off, they will have symptom. When those symptoms appears, then I step in to help to navigate around those symptoms. This is
Oh.
how I think I would work with them. But unfortunately, they can't seem to be able to find a doctor or a
Hmm.
doctor who is aware enough or who is open enough to be
Open.
able to work with me at this level. So I don't have
All
a
right.
medical alliance who can support,
Mm.
to can help these people. This is a dilemma here. What I sense, those people who have been on schizophrenia medication for a long term, perhaps simply is a no, unless they have been also working on the energetic aspect, they are learning some sort of energy healing on themselves. They're kind of on the path. Then I have to maybe do a initial session, rather than hypnosis, but
Hmm.
energetic assessment session. Get to see how
Yeah.
they respond to me first. It's a gray area, and for us who live in modern society, both Australian and German, needs to follow the guideline. That's the matter of fact.
But I share your you said because I think they have a really special they are a special soul group. I feel this as well, and they come here for a reason, and they come here. I don't have as much experience with them, but I can share some experience with kids or young people with autism spectrum disorders, because they find me a lot. I have since I've worked with kids as well, and with hypnotherapy from the age of 6 years on. Recently, let's say during the last 2 or 3 years, kids and even young kids of the age of 7 or 8 with this problem find me, and I do not label what I'm doing with that, like telling this is spiritual work or this is hypnotherapy. I work very intuitively with what I can offer, and they respond in the most beautiful way, because those are I have in the moment I have an 8 years old boy who appears to you like, I mean, this is goosebump experience, because he comes to you and says, I know that I've lived a lot of lifetimes. I'm in connection with my past grandparents, and and this is wow. This is really a wow experience, because I think they come for a reason to make a difference. They want to show us that our system we're living in, like politically or in terms of ecological aspects, they come here to show us that these systems will not work anymore. And this is so amazing to work with them, because they are really different souls in the most beautiful way. The thing they suffer from is that they feel alone. They have to connect with those who are alike. And when they found somebody who knows how they work, how their brain is functioning, and what talents they brought, it's like they are blossoming. Yeah, and it is beautiful, because those who find their way to me have a family frame, have parents who are, most of them are supportive and understanding, which is really, really helpful. And I love to work with those. It's really amazing.
Beautiful. I mean, I don't specialize in working with kids, but I do have a few personal contact with ADD, ADHD children. We actually have one client whose son, 11 years old, he is autism as well. Not by my eyes, if I may say it this way. He asked his father, so his father began to sit and meditate with us. He said, "Can I join meditation?" His father said, "You sure?" Uh, well, I'm not sure. It's going to be an hour. I really don't think you could sit for an hour. He said, "Can I just try?" And he said, "You promise you're not going to make a lot of a noise there, right?" He said, "Yeah, sure." So he came. He sat there like a master.
Wow. Oh my God. So there's a
The
master soul inside.
six of us in my, humble meditation room. There were his father, there were me, there were three other gentlemen, and then him, right? One gentleman, first time came to meditation, halfway, he fell asleep and he was snoring. As he snored, and three people stood up and walked out of the room. People couldn't handle the noise. And he sat there still until the end of the an hour session.
Amazing. Amazing. Yeah.
And after that, we asked him, "So what did you find when you go to meditate?" He sat there, did not know what to answer because, only 11 years old.
Yeah.
He said, "Nothing."
Oh my God. Yeah.
Then we asked him, "What would you prefer, schoolwork or meditation?" Meditation.
Yeah. Great. Oh,
He enjoys spending time with us. He apparently he could sense this energy in the house, very different. And apart from schools, he's got a very unique talent. As we all know, all ADD, ADHD, Asperger's syndrome children, they are gifted in a very specific way. He
exactly.
is very good at a date. If you
Hmm.
tell him a date, say 10th of April 2035, which day is that? He could tell you is that's a Friday or
Oh my
Thursday.
God. Immediately, I suppose.
Yes, immediately. And
Oh,
and so we did a test, yeah. So we would found that's correct. And I said, "So what time did you first meet me?" He would nominate the date. I said, "At what time?" He said, 4:10,
oh
4
my
p.m. at
God.
10.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
So
that's how accurate that is. And recently, his parents found him has the gift of multilingual.
oh, wow. Okay.
He speaks German, French. Not sure if it's a little bit Japanese. We have not speak to the parents for some time now, and that's how that kid is
With
gifted.
11 years. So, yeah. Oh
Yes,
my God. That's beautiful because we see, I mean, we who work on that level or who have contact with those people, I'd say we there's a shift as well. We see more kids incarnating or more souls, like such gifted souls incarnating into human form and bring this knowing and bring this awareness on this really, really young age, which I find really amazing. And I find this is a light of hope, right? Because I know that, or we know that they come here to make a difference. They come here to show us what is working, what is not. They come here to help with the evolution, with the development here on Earth, and
they
to
challenge
find
the parents and the school education system. They challenge
exactly.
them with this. their with their behaviors, very unique behavior, they're telling the parents, your old way is not working anymore. You got to evolve. You got to be innovative to develop and evolve into the new method that allow children to be who they are, not trying to mold them into something they're not. That's what the public
Exactly.
education system problem is.
Yeah, exactly. It's so interesting. Yeah, beautiful.
It is indeed so fantastic. Now that you shared, you're transitioning from your medical role more so into a spiritual hypnotherapist role. And did you find that challenging? I mean, we sense this really opening in you, since last time we spoke. What is going inside this inner dialogue?
Well, I think this is it's a logical. I mean, you change, you sense the change in yourself and you radiate what you feel inside. And this is like one step, and on the other side, the clients start to change. I find that there is a resonance. It's always has to do with resonance, right? So the change you are experiencing inside yourself changes something on the outside. The outside changes or helps you develop what is changing inside yourself. I always feel like this is like going up a ladder step by step, which is a logical decision. My clients changed. Well, since I started to to address to the universe to bring me the clients which I need and which need me, sure, but which I like, which are the right ones, which is the right match, which who I am best to help or best to support. It happens. I mean, it happens, simply happens. So all these shifts inside myself lead to a shift outside, and this is a beautiful development. I love that a lot.
A positive dynamo chain response.
Exactly.
So beautiful. Now, do you have a takeaway message for our broad audience?
Yeah. The main message is you never know what will happen from from the perspective of your brain. So it is most important to not focus on your brain expectations or brain perspective. It is most important to listen to your heart and to your intuition. So if you feel like sense, like reconnecting with this deepest, most beautiful part of yourself, which I call your heart energy, you will know on another level of knowing. And it is simply worth trying to step further, to have this experience, like this life between lives session, because what I can share is people ask me, can you give me a guarantee that I will have this experience of the life between lives experience? And I can say, I always say, I cannot give any guarantee, but what I can guarantee is that everybody, simply everybody gets exactly what is needed. You are guided. Your soul knows what kind of experience you need. So it is always worth trying, because what will happen will be the best for you at that point of life you are. So simply listen to your heart and open up to this experience, because it's the most beautiful you can do or can have.
That's wonderfully put. Now, for those who struggle with years of seeking conventional method and are not receiving the breakthroughs, and then now you are a medical doctor, so you got the authority to advise them. What would you say to those people?
I would say stop struggling, stop fighting, start accepting that life is developing and life is changing. So even medical treatment at some point of your life and maybe until some point of your life has to be accepted. And when you or when aspects change, like a conviction or whatever kind of change happens, you will experience that there are new doors that open up. And it's not, I'm doing this instead of this. It is more like growing into something new, into something maybe more helpful. Like what I always do with people like this is I try to help them to simply step further and say to them, like, without expectation, let's see what happens. And when we come to a point that you literally feel that you can heal yourself in a better way, there's always the option, or very often the option of reducing before stopping instantly with an older way of treatment. So you can reduce, you can look what happens. Like when I was talking about cancer, for example, I had this lady who wanted to heal herself with mental, with hypnotherapy and all those aspects spiritually. And I said, yeah, let's see. I cannot promise anything, but let's see what will happen. We have a medical frame. We have the focus on what's going on, so we can react if there's something bad going on. We can always react. We have the focus, but we need the frame to be open for something new without fearing that things getting worse. You have to simply try and trust and be open and be without expectation. And this is the best mindset to simply, yeah, let things happen. And then very often good things happen.
Very often, good things happen. Thank you so much, Dr. Beate, for your expertise and for you sharing your wonderful experience, your own healing, and how you guide people through different method, and how you beautifully explain the different layers of the human body, and you encourage our audience to expand from the physical level of awareness, and this can take the healing to the next level, and the results never disappoint you.
Thank you for doing your beautiful work, for giving me the opportunity to share what I shared. And yeah, this is I feel blessed, and I really feel the pleasure is really on my side. And thank you, Ekomananda, for what you're doing, because it's amazing and you help to spread all this knowing. I feel so connected to you and to this beautiful work. So isn't it the best we can do? So thank you
It is
on my side.
our pleasure. The journey continues to evolve, whether through your therapeutic sessions or your own work. And we continue to connect through the energy, the unseen energy that needs not a word. We are always connected.
Right, we are so beautiful. Thank you.
Thanks again for coming to the show.
Yeah, thank you for having me, having me invited.
To the audience,
Beautiful.
thank you for watching and stay in tuned. See you in the next episode.